everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be making over this lamp. So this lamp might look antique. I think it's actually a probably mid-century replica of a style of sort of Tang style horse lamps that was popular a bit earlier on in the sort of 1920s, 1930s. So the reasons I think that this is a replica is I'm pretty sure it's not solid brass. It's definitely just plated, because there's a little bit of plating that's just come off here in the front of the horse's leg. So I am going to be polishing this. I'm also going to be redoing this lampshade. I'm pretty convinced from the way it sits actually this lampshade did not belong to this lamp originally. So the lampshade, you can see it looks quite a lot like an admiral's hat, but bigger and more impressive. But you can also see it's bloody filthy. I don't know where this came from. We got it because my partner's grandmother unfortunately passed away, and this was something that no one else in the family seemed to want, and I quite liked it. I like horses. They're huge and stupid and dangerous, but they're very sweet and I quite like them. So I've given our friend a thorough clean and established that I don't think that he's brass at all. Brass polish did almost nothing to him, so unless he has some treatment on him that protects patina, I'm pretty convinced he's not brass, and it is way beyond my pay grade to actually do anything more with that. So instead we will start with this. So I'm hoping I might be able to salvage the inner material by washing it, but this outer stuff definitely has to go because frankly I think it's really ugly. I might try and save some of this trim and see if it can be cleaned up, and I might use it on a future project though. I'm just starting by unpicking this seam along here. Okay, it looks like ripping it's the answer. Oh, there's a lot of dust coming off this. My suspicions that this is actually more modern have been confirmed. These are rubberized rather than traditionally wrapped, because in a traditional lampshade you'd wrap something as akin to twill tape around these and then stitch the outer cover onto there. So we have established this is definitely more modern than you'd expect. So I'll carry on getting this off and I'll join you after that's done. So this is now completely stripped. I'm still going to attempt to salvage this trim off it, but this is almost certainly machine constructed from everything that I can see. Maybe, I don't even think that the trim was hand stitched. I think it is all constructed. So, is that glue? Ah, no. We have stitches, which means this will be easier to take off. Brilliant. So I've learnt a couple of things during this dissection process. The first being that this green velvet ribbon at the bottom is structurally integral, so if I want to keep this inner fabric then I can't take that away, but it's okay, it'll be covered up by my own trim later. Secondly, I found out that this manky old trim that was on it was originally gold, which is good because my original idea for the colour scheme was to be gold as well. So I'm trying to find a bit of fabric that isn't too bleached or manky. So something like that would have been the original colour combination with this green velvet ribbon, so it would have actually been really rather nice. So it's a shame that it's a bit sort of, well, this particular one is water damaged and just a bit dirty, and there's some paint on the inside as well. But the frame is in good nick. So my next step is going to be soaking this overnight in vanish or stain remover of your choice, just to see if I can get rid of some of these dark sort of water stained looking patches. And then we'll see how that works and go from there. If that does work, perfect, I'll just cover on top of that. If not, we'll have to strip that off and find an alternative fabric. See you tomorrow. It's now the next day, and as you can see, the staining has lifted absolutely beautifully. So much better than I was expecting, although it has slightly bleached this stretch of ribbon at the bottom, which has turned pink, which is a bit odd because it was green initially. So now it's time to take our measurements. So I'm starting off by measuring from one bone over to the other side at the top. And again along the bottom. And the length of the longest bone, which will be this one as it's travelling into this little dipped bit. Now it's time to choose our fabric. So I've decided to go for this lovely sort of rust orange muslin. As you can see, it is slightly transparent, which I think will look really nice on this lampshade, especially because I'm planning to do a gathered lampshade. So along the top we're going to need a measurement of 45 centimetres, which is the length of the longest bone plus some for seam allowance. In this direction we're going to need 130 centimetres, which is twice 65. For this long edge of half a panel, I'm going to be doing it in two separate pieces of fabric. So we now have our two halves of the outer part of the lampshade, and we even have enough left over to do a little shirt or a skirt or something. So let me know what you think I should do with the rest of this muslin. So I've marked the centre point of both pieces of fabric, and by some miracle I already have an almost matching thread. So now I'm going to show you how I do the gathering. So my string can definitely reach, so I'm simply using my thumb as a spacer, going in at that point and coming out at the knuckle. So now we're just going to even out the gathers and then pin starting at this bone and pinning right round. So you want to make sure that you leave enough to fold over the top. And I'm pinning through this binding as well. Then we just keep on zhuzhing until we're happy with how the gathers are laying, and then just pin them down. And then we simply do the same on the other side. So this is now all pinned in place, including adding enough slack to stick to the bones at the bottom. So now we'll just stitch the top down. So the way I'm stitching it is to clamp this down, so bringing it up and over, and then through the fabric at the back, through the binding around the frame, and out the front. And we're just going to do that all the way around the top. It might look a bit ugly at the minute, but I wouldn't worry too much about it because we're going to have some trim along this bit at the top anyway. So that's now the top done. You can see it is a little bit messy on the inside, but we're going to clear that up with some twill tape at the end. So now we're just going to do the same thing with the bottom, is gather it in quarter portions and then stitch that down. I'm trying to leave enough slack here so that I can tack it to the bones once everything's gathered and stitched down. So initially I tried gathering the way that we did the top half, but I decided it looked better with box pleats. So you just fold two edges in to make a little strip, then pull that taut across the frame, and like we did with the top, just pin those folds in place. And now we're going to stitch around like we did with the gathering at the top. That's now all sewn down, so now we're just going to attach these two pieces of fabric at the gap and the same on this other side. Now our lampshade is really starting to take shape, so the next thing we're doing is just cutting off all these excess bits of string and excess fabric and then sealing that all down by running just a bit of twill tape over the raw edges. This is now the lampshade completely covered and finished, and we could stop there, but I'm going to add this braid and this fringe just to make it a bit more exciting. To attach the braid, I'm using a simple backstitch using this curved needle. You can use a straight needle, but this does make life an awful lot easier. I'm trying to get the needle to come out in these little gaps in the braid where it's going to be less obvious. So here it is, our finished lamp. I think it's turned out really well. I think it goes really well with the brass horse, and I think it goes well with the colour scheme of the living room. I know that not everyone likes yellow walls, but because the living room's slightly built into the ground, it gets really dark in here, so I like the yellow to bounce around the light. So let's do the big reveal of the lampshade. Ta-da! Oh, I think that looks fabulous. No, that's I wasn't entirely sure about doing the fringe, but I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. That is going to be living on my sewing table. So I hope you found something here that you might find useful if you want to make up your own lampshade or just want to see me struggle. I hope you've had a nice time, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!